Sauk Prairie. My name is Lindsay Giese, and I'm the Executive Director for River Arts Inc. And thank you for joining us for another coffee chat. Today, our guest is Sauk Prairie alumni Rory Bolton. Hey, Rory. Cheers.
Hey, Lindsay. Cheers.
You got your music mug, which is perfect for our discussion today. I've got my John Joseph mug, which is perfect for any day
Oh,
because we enjoy John Joseph coffee here.
good product placement.
Rory, oh my goodness. I'm so excited to chat with you. We go way, way back, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But so to get us started out, if you can, in your own words, tell us a little bit about you.
Okay. Well, I am a 2006 graduate of the Sauk Prairie music program. Um, I was fortunate to have started a career in music at quite the young age of 14 when the late and great Miss Susan Holloway and her partner in crime, as we would always call them together, Miss Karen Lure, would sit me down in their office as my freshman year of high school was coming to a close. And they asked, "Well, what are your summer plans, Rory?" And young, naive me at the time said, "Well, I'm working out at the country club, bussing and dishwashing," and they kind of cut me off right there, and they said, "We want you to come work for us." And as the story goes, I was able to join the cast of Fab 50s Live, where Lindsay, you and I definitely continued our musical journeys together. You were already a professional as a senior at that point, but and that just kind of sparked things. Up until then, I was playing piano, accompanying a lot of students and instrumentalist vocalists, and that really opened my eyes up to what I could do with music. And performing 90 shows a summer for 5 summers was just so exhilarating, and working with college interns and professionals alike, just truly an experience and a memory I will never forget. It
How
kind
many
of pushed me. Go
sorry,
ahead.
how many years did you do the show? And like I think you did a few and then took a break and then did a few more, right?
Yep. There was one. It would have been straight through, except the one summer I took off. I attended Interlochen Center for the Arts. It's a summer music camp over in Interlochen, Michigan, situated between two lakes, and just a beautiful scenic backdrop, kind of a place for you to really focus and hone in. I mean, there were people from all corners of the globe, much younger than me, that I were just very already excelled artists and prodigies for that matter. So it really continued the motivation for me to keep doing what I love, but also to make sure that I had some of those classical foundations as far as my piano theory and chops, as they say in the business, goes.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, and otherwise, then it would have been five. I was a part of Fab 50s Live for 5 of the 8 summers of its running.
And then so then college happens at some point.
hmm I went. I attended UW Stevens Point. I had always wanted. I knew music was going to be some part of my life, but I was also interested in the allied health sciences and healthcare. Ever since I was little, I had said that I wanted to be a full-fledged doctor and go on to med school. So while I was continuing music and uh, accompanying on the side and keeping fairly busy, as most music students know in the program, I was also doing a sort of a pre-med prerequisite program that would prepare me for entrance into medical school. And so I was having like 6 hours of lab a week, and an hour of piano studio, and then there was another hour of voice studio where I'd have to show up and play for some students, and then we'd have recitals, as all kind of scattered throughout there, and then attending lessons. So it was a lot to juggle, I guess, at the same time. But I loved the diversity of everything. I never felt like I was sitting still and kind of getting bored with whatever I was pursuing at the time. There was always something going on.
You and what was your final, like, what degrees did you get in the end?
In the end, I had switched over to the performance program for piano, which you have to audition from your regular Bachelor of Arts to be accepted into a performance program, and then your degree changes to a Bachelor of Music. Um, However, with that comes the requirement that you have to have a minor in something else outside of that study. And so I was, I think, maybe 2 courses away from a chemistry minor with all of the chem classes and labs that I had taken over the years for pre-med. So that's what I ended up doing, a Bachelor of Music in Piano Performance and a chemistry minor.
Cool. Okay. Did you then, while you were in college, I know you like were super busy with all of your studies, but did you still perform during that time?
I did. So the last summer of Fab 50s, I came to a crossroads. Like, what am I going to do with my summers? uh, because up until then, that's kind of all I knew.
Yeah.
And I remember going downtown in Madison for it was it was sort of a state audition, and I'm drawing a blank what they were called. And the thing that came of that was I got a call from Circus World Museum in Baraboo, basically asking me if I wanted to join the circus and run away.
Nice. Very dream.
So, right? I mean, if it's not your dream as a child, I don't know what is. But to be able to do that as I was sort of entering into my adult career was just kind of literally that, a fun getaway for the summer. And I and learned so much about the circus business. The incredible Dave Salutis, who I believe to this day is still doing the ringmaster work there.
Yes.
I mean, he's just the nicest guy. And he took me under his wing, kind of showed me the ropes, and I thought I was sort of signing up for playing in the big top shows because we had a small band. Um, there was one other keyboardist who was sort of the lead keyboardist, and I was filling in with some extra sounds, I guess you could call it, strings and horns and whatnot. But he kind of took care of the main thing, and then there was just a drummer besides. So it was the three of us up above the main ring, playing for the big top shows and a razzle dazzle variety show. Well, by the end of the summer, I feel like I had sort of dipped my foot in a little bit of everything at the museum grounds, because I just kind of kept wanting to take on more experiences and opportunities. So I eventually went over and led the Kids World Circus, which was always fun because you bring some kids and take them backstage and dress them up, and they love just using their imagination in that way. And you just kind of get to facilitate that, as they have some fun. I was also giving Museum Ringlingville historical tours, so you really get to learn about the history and the culture of the circus that way. And then even by the end of the summer, Dave had let me try my hand out at being the MC, sort of ringmaster for the Razzle Dazzle variety show. So getting to be down and introduce all of the acts, and it just kind of took me back to the years through going through the SOC program and being on stage again, and it was a lot of fun.
This is really funny, Rory, because I think it would have been the summer before you did that. They hired me to do that razzle dazzle thing. And I went like I do kind of regret that I didn't take I got a different job in South Dakota, and so it just didn't work out for me. But like,
Sure.
oh, I bet that was so awesome. But in speaking of like how our paths have crossed like so many times over the years, um, we both did cruise ships for a
We
while.
did. We did.
I sang on
And
ships and you played on ships. And
yeah,
how many contracts did you do with what companies?
I
And
did.
where's your
I
favorite
did.
place?
I did three.
Okay.
Two were with Celebrity Cruises,
Mhm.
and the coolest thing about them, including my very first contract, fresh out of Stevens Point, and undergrad, was that two of them opened up brand new ships in their fleet. It was the Celebrity Silhouette was my first contract, and then my last contract was the Celebrity Reflection. So getting to be a part of that maiden voyage experience, they fly you over to Emshaven, Holland, and the German shipyard, Meyer Werft, I think, is still working on the ship. It's being built as you are kind of embarking on it, and it's still dry docked and everything, and hasn't taken to the water yet. And so you get to be a part of seeing all of that growth. And they have a big handoff ceremony when Celebrity, being a United States company, then purchases that and takes it over as theirs. And that was really neat. The middle contract was still an affiliate with Celebrity, and it was under the Royal Caribbean umbrella, because
Which
Celebrity is Royal.
celebrity also is.
Yep, yep. And so the other one of that is Azamara, and I think now they have three ships. They're much smaller. At least the two that I knew of were, and I was a part of the Azamara journey. And so whereas Celebrity is like a miniature city. I mean, you have malls and you have a casino and you have um, how
Pools,
many how
bars,
many how many
gyms.
bars
Yeah.
and restaurants,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yep.
it's unbelievable. You try and walk it all in one day, and I mean, good luck. You'll be exhausted by the end. But Azamara, on the other hand, instead of being the 4,500 metropolis that Celebrity is, it was like under 1,000 guest capacity. Well, I should say guest and crew. So much smaller. You could walk to the back of the ship in minutes. Um, and so it was just a different culture, different experience, because you had that closer interaction. Now, on the travel side of things, Celebrity is a much the two that I played on. They're much larger ships, and so you have to often stay further away from the ports, or you can't get up as close. Sometimes we would have to tether and then take boats into some of the ports of call that we were visiting.
Yep.
The plus side of Azamara is, because of their size, they could navigate through these smaller waterways. And so, for instance, where Celebrity would dock, what was the port in? It was sort of the Parisian port, Le Havre, which is at the mouth of the Seine, where the Seine meets the Atlantic. When I was on Azamara, we came all the way down the Seine to the port of Rouen, and we were like an hour and a half train ride outside of the Paris city center. It was unbelievable. Whereas from Le Havre, it would probably be maybe 3-4 hour
Yep.
train ride. So that was
Is that
That was really, really interesting.
was that a favorite dock or port? I mean, or what other
Oh man.
ports? I get asked this question
When
all the time too, and I'm like, it like depends
it
what experience you want to have.
Yeah, it really does. When we were doing the Mediterranean um, and Israeli Holy Land cruises and tours, I think those were the most memorable for me. I loved all different parts of exploring Italy and finding kind of those holes in the wall of cities that you normally wouldn't think to visit, and they just kind of turn out to be these diamonds in the roughs, these treasures and gems, and just you really feel immersed into that culture, and you get to feel a part of that for a little bit. I
What
absolutely love Greece, Mykonos and Santorini. I mean,
oh,
the
I could be
sites are breathtaking by itself.
I think I could be quarantined there. Maybe I should
You're
maybe I should
right.
just set myself up there for a year. Oh, so much to talk about. You were not able to do maybe because you were on ships then. The first Aspire, you did a recording for it. But you did do the second Aspire in 2015.
Yeah.
What do you or what did you enjoy most about that experience? So Aspire, if for my viewers who aren't familiar with it, that is a program that River Arts Inc. Has presented at the River Arts Center featuring Saukri alumni who have gone on to have careers in the arts in various ways. So Rory, of course, as we are hearing about, has done a lot in the arts over the years, and we haven't really even gotten to the nuts and bolts of what he's doing now. But you performed in the Aspire 2015. Yeah. So what did you enjoy about that?
There's so much talent in this little city of Sauk Prairie. Two municipalities come together, and I'm floored. And the tradition continues. I mean, that's a big thing. I was in Fiddler on the Roof my sophomore year for show choir, and we always talked about tradition with Miss Lou and Miss Holloway, and it's I still see it today. Matt Brennan is just doing incredible things with the choral program, and the tradition of all of this talent in one place, um it's a little intimidating, to be honest. And like for instance, from a piano kind of guru, I always looked up to Justin Cody. We took from the same teacher in Sauk, Char Monette, and she actually was the one who encouraged me to look into Interlaken because Justin had gone on to Interlaken for a summer. And it I wasn't trying, I don't want to say I was following in his footsteps, because my freshman year there was also Michael Davidson, who was a senior with you, Lindsay, and we all know how great and accomplished he is. And it was it was truly special to be on stage for literally 48 hours with all of this talent and personality and character, and everyone brings something unique to the table. Many of whom I knew from over the years or had heard their names, but also some new ones. I'm like, oh, you were an alumni of this program. That's so cool. We share that in common, and that's what creates that unique bond. That no matter where you came from and your background, you went through the Sauk Prairie music program, and you've taken that to make something of it your own, and to be able to come back and share that was, oh, it was just great.
Okay, well, I think we should dig in a little bit about the work you're currently doing. So tell me about the music therapy, how that has come about, and really what that means.
So when I was wrapping up the cruise contracts, I knew I had wanted to continue my education in some respect. And I was back for a family reunion, and a relative, who at the time was the director of a rehabilitation clinic in Madison, the Central Wisconsin Center, and he said, "Have you ever heard of music therapy?" And I said, I don't believe so. Well, he was able to set up a shadow day with his music therapist, who he had on staff for, I don't know, probably 15 years or so. And what it really opened me up to was with the performance background that I kind of come in with. I like to think of it as I'm no longer in the spotlight. I become a facilitator of the music, and now my clients, or as we refer to them in hospice, our patients are in the spotlight. It's all about them, and it's using music to accomplish certain goals. um, Maybe if you're working with children, you are working on their academic development and you're doing numbers or letters, but you're using music as a means to make that connection with them. With teenagers, when I worked in mental health, um, it was validating what they're going through and using music as a means of self-expression. Um, Maybe even talking about, well, you're listening to this song. What does it mean to you? Can you relate to it in any way? And just to kind of stimulate that conversation and break that ice with them, because as we often know, teenagers are they're more reserved, and they have this shell around them that they don't want to open up and to share with the world. It's very private. So that's a huge milestone when you can sort of make that breakthrough with an adolescent. Older adults with developmental disabilities. I was in a rotation at a group home over the summer, and getting to see that, okay, if I created a musical routine, that I would have certain individuals that as soon as I walked in the door, they knew exactly what was going on, and they headed over to the couch and they were ready to listen and to sing along with music. And it's so I really think of it as they are in the spotlight, and it takes the focus away from me, but we all get to sort of meet at a common place. And specifically as a hospice music therapist, which I've been with my agency for 3 years now, Horizon Home Care and Hospice, it's focusing on a very vulnerable time in a patient's life, an individual's life, but also the family. And to be able to create meaningful musical experiences, we often like to call them legacy projects, because it's honoring someone's life and legacy and creating that moment. And maybe it's noticing um, that someone who has been minimally responsive, or sort of been sort of like a comatose state, getting to see some response on their face when you play their favorite wedding song that they have shared with their spouse for over 50 years. Um, Maybe it's just having the music be what I absolutely love when I attended a music therapy conference. Maybe it's being having the music be a container of space, because even though the family won't admit it, they have a lot bubbled up inside of them, and they need to let it out in a healthy way.
Mhm.
And keeping that music going, allowing for this simultaneous life review to occur, and to hear about these incredible people within your local community even. um, I just look at it as an honor and it's a privilege, and I'm so blessed to be a part of each of those experiences.
Well, it sounds, I mean, it's just incredible work that you're doing. But it also has to it must be difficult because, and, I don't know how close up you are until the end. But like, you just must be touched by every family and every person that you're visiting with. So how do you go home at the end of the day and deal with that for yourself.
Anybody working in hospice, regardless of your discipline, whether you're a therapist, whether you're a chaplain, a social worker, a nurse, they will all say the same thing. You can't leave it at the patient's door. A part of it does come home with you, and there are definitely going to be those individuals that come into your life for a reason and find a way kind of to get under your skin in the best of ways. And we're all human in the end, so we have to accept that and to honor that for ourselves. um, and I kind of view each experience as just that, an experience and its own opportunity, because whether it's a visit where someone is sitting up and they're engaging on a rhythmic level, they're tapping along, they're clapping, they might even be vocalizing and singing too, or someone who is in those final hours and ready to make that transition. Music is so vital across all of this continuum and this journey. And I hope that more families for their loved ones will take advantage of not making that assumption that hospice is the end stage. Um, Everyone hears that word and it means something different to them. I'm not going to say anyone is right or wrong, uh, because it's not for me to decide. But what I do know is that the hospice benefit, if you were to sign on earlier than later, you can get so much more out of it. Not just that additional social companionship from all of our staff and disciplines visiting, but creating those memories. And I absolutely love it when families are like, "Oh, can we make a video?" Or sometimes if I'm alone with them, and I'll ask, "Is it okay if I record this, and then I share it with your family, or your spouse?" And most of the time, you won't run into any roadblocks. They'll probably ask you if they can, because they're bearing witness to what appears to be just this incredible phenomenon that they haven't seen any kind of response for days at a time, and now music is somehow making this connection with them. And it goes so much further beyond just uplifting someone's spirits. Music connects to us on a physiological level. It stimulates neural pathways. I won't get too scientific on you, but as you can tell, it's something I'm very passionate about, and I'm so excited that I was opened up to this. In addition to continuing just my love and passion of music.
Well, you mentioned an aspect of it that I had never considered, because you think about music therapy, especially for hospice situations, that it's for the to help the person that is nearing their end of life, but the benefits to the family like how music can help the loved ones.
Absolutely.
That is really powerful. That is, I will always remember this conversation, Rory. That's important. Like, we're always looking out for other people. Sometimes you got to look out for yourself in those really hard moments too. So,
And bottom line, I mean, when you leave a house or you leave a facility of visiting, with someone who is terminally ill, regardless of the stage, it's going to have an impact on you. And so find a way to honor that experience. We in any sort of therapeutic field, you'll hear self-care get tossed around quite a bit, and it definitely holds true. But beyond just therapy for yourself, do something that makes you feel good about why you get up each day and continue to do the work that you do.
so it's very obvious that music is important to you in your life. How this My final question is, how have you been using music to maybe get through this difficult year?
Mm.
Or what other ways do you use music just to help you personally to do your self-care?
You're right, right. Well, I would say as I live and breathe music throughout my weeks, I work full time Monday through Friday as the hospice music therapist, and then I teach 4 nights a week and Saturday mornings. And right now, with everything going on in the current stage of the pandemic, everything has gone virtual for me. So very much like this, we could take a trip upstairs to the music studio, and I'll have cameras set up, and if I'm teaching piano, I'll have one above me, kind of as an overhead shot, so my students can see my hands at the keyboard, and then they can also see one of me face on, just for my funny expressions, I guess. See if I can get a rouse out of them. Or but it's definitely been challenging, and even in music therapy we have made a lot of transitions to remote telehealth visits, because some of our communities that aren't comfortable with having our staff in there, for whether there's been a positive case outbreak or whatever reason, um, or maybe someone's at home and is just concerned of having people into their home. We of course want to respect that, but I've also uh, been in several visits where I've been in the full PPE garb, personal protective equipment, and so what that entails is a gown, um, two masks, usually an N95, and then a surgical mask over that as a disposable one, and then a face shield beyond that, and then wearing latex gloves on top of, which it poses some challenges. I found out that I can play guitar still with the gloves on. It's a little bit of a challenge, but we're making do. So really, this year has just been all about adaptation and flexibility, and just continuing to be kind. I think that's so important, and trying not to let it get the best of you, I think.
Yep. Well, thank you. Thanks for chatting with me today. Thanks for being kind, and for the work
That's
that you
my
do
pleasure.
to just help other people. So thank you so much for that. Oh, cheers, Rory. I can't wait
Cheers,
to
Lindsay.
see you perform live again and see you in person again. So until that time, I'll just watch this
Like it.
video over and over.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you very much for having me.
Thanks, Rory.